Have you ever wondered what it would be like to start a dumpster rental business? If you have, you're probably wondering, what does your first year look like in business? How much money are you making? What are the upfront costs? What goes into this? I plan on sharing with you in this video all of my numbers, or as close as I can, for the first year in business, which was 2021. So if you're interested, stick along for the ride. I'm going to be going through the top line, the bottom line, and everywhere in between. So let's get into it. So let's start with the exciting top number line. That is going to be 41,000 and some change. That was after a few discounts, as well as some other cash, I believe literal cash deposits that we had a difficult time tracing back. Side note, if you are looking to get a bookkeeper to help you keep track of all your numbers, to be able to see where things are really going, what's happening in your business, I've got a video about that right here to help you hopefully find a good bookkeeper to help you keep things straight. I didn't have one for some time, and so last year, certainly at the beginning of the year, we had a really hard time tracking down some of those numbers, but ultimately it was a hair over 41,000 gross. That doesn't mean $41,000 sitting in my pocket right now. That literally means that's just what I was given, and then I had to dish out quite a bit from that to be able to take care of all my bills and keep the business actually operating. So that was my top line. Next in line is the cost of goods. We don't have goods; we just have a dumping fee. So my total trash disposal fee was a little over $9,000. So right off the bat, you can kind of see proportionally about 25-ish% in that kind of ballpark right there were my dump fees from the top line being 41 and some change. So about 25% there. Next is the actual operating cost, the expenses that goes into this whole operation of owning a dumpster rental business. I paid a little over $360 for accounting fees. That was basically paying my accountant to catch me up all the way from where I was at towards the end of the year we started, and then basically going forward to finish out that year. So about $360 for accounting fees. I think that's reasonable. That's a much larger value to me overall to know my overall numbers and to make sure they're actually accurate. So that was huge. Advertising. This is a little shaky just because there's two categories that kind of go into this. But advertising and marketing was a little over $1,200 for that. However, so that's proportionally very, very small. Very small. However, I'll skip down to the bottom here. I did have about a little under $700 in Facebook ads. So combine the two together, we're just going to call it closer to $2,000 worth of ads being put out there, advertising and marketing. Next on the list is my bad debt. So people who, because I didn't have card on file options with ERS when I first started with Work Easy, I had some people who didn't fully pay me when I had the dump fees afterwards. They just ghosted me, never got a response. My very first customer, I made a video about it. They didn't finish the overages for the dump fee, and so there was some bad debt involved with that. So that cost me money. You don't just magically get paid just because you were owed that by somebody. So I wrote that off as an expense, and so that's it was about a little over $500 for that bad debt. So that was money that now I don't have to pay towards taxes that they owed me, but I didn't get paid. Next is bank fees and service charges. Pretty self-explanatory there. A little under $300 for that. My business license, $21 for Indiana there. Next is equipment rental. So I had one dump trailer when I first started. I actually bought the trailer in 2020. However, I didn't actually get it rented out, didn't get my website up and running until 2021. And a part of that had to do with just how slow I was at going through this process. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to do it. And so it just took me a long time to get my very first customer And so equipment rental actually came a little bit further down in the end of the year of 2021. I have a buddy who actually was my very first customer, but he later bought his own dump trailer in which it cost me to be able to use his dump trailer to rent out to other people. So basically, I didn't pay for the dump trailer. He bought it. He allows me to use it. It's covered underneath my insurance, and I'm able to rent it out to customers, and then we split the profit. So that's just a little side note there. If you know somebody with a dump trailer or something that could work for you, make a bargain. Come up with an idea of how you can work together to both make some cash off of that piece of equipment. Maybe you just do that for a temporary time period. Maybe it's long term. Whatever that works for you. I had an expense of that for renting his trailer in total. It was a little under $250. Next is the equipment storage. So in 2021, I started out actually at that same buddy's house, not his house, but one of his properties that he has a little further away. I was paying him rent to store my 2 dump trailers at that point because my driveway was getting pretty full, and so I paid between that and I believe the start of my new storage place that's right next to the transfer station where I live. It was just over $600 last year. It's much more now in 2022, so a little over $650 for that. Next is the ERS website, which I only have positive things to say about ERS. The website, first of all, costs about $850 to build. So I'm sure they've got it streamlined. I'm sure they're making a crazy margin on that website just to be able to piece it together. And basically, they robbed my old website that I made, which was fairly terrible, but they took that, put it on their shiny website that makes it look so much more professional and not a scam, because I'm pretty sure my website started out looking like a scam when I made it. So the website, as well as getting things started for that, all together so far in 2021, it was a little under $1,400 altogether with just the monthly cost plus the build site actually being built together there. So I already mentioned the Facebook ads. Next is insurance. Insurance was a hair under $1,200. I started off with 1 truck and 1 dump trailer. I then bought a second dump trailer. I added that, of course, to my insurance. Then I bought a backup truck because sometimes your first truck might go down. So I bought that backup truck. I added that to the insurance. And so it was kind of a progression building up towards where I'm at now today with 3 trucks. One's a roll-off truck with 2 bins, and all that kind of worked out together. But essentially my insurance was a little under $1,200 last year. My insurance is much higher now. So just right off the bat, that is my first year. That was just my progression. Fully insured, the whole thing, commercial insurance, all of it. So next is meals. So when I was in the middle of doing something, if I was doing a live load or if I was far away doing something, as I've gone over 2 hours away for the right customers who needed to use me, and they paid the price. But basically, when I was unable to go about my regular business, or I'm waiting hours and hours and hours, I would buy some meals. So a little over $120 for the year last year. Went towards meals as a cost. It wasn't a regularly, scheduled thing. And so I had to eat food at some point somewhere, being far away or waiting out, the clock of when they're going to get finished. Next was a membership in, or subscriptions. Essentially I paid $750, for a mentorship, in being able to help me, work through a lot of things in business. So, that was a help to me. Next was merchant fees. So that's the money going to the payment processing person. So Work Easy is what I first started off with, and then switching over eventually to DRS late last year. Just under $1,000 for that. So they add up quick. Certainly do. Next is phone service. So I have my personal phone. And then what I did was I got a Grasshopper phone line on the app of the Grasshopper app. And that's what I've basically have paid for from the very beginning with my business phone number. So that was a little over $300 for that for the year. I believe it's the same this year as well. Nothing's really changed with that, but that was my phone service for last year. Supplies. That could have been a number of different things, whether that was the tire trucks for my dump trailers. That could be stickers. That could be all sorts of stuff. So that number is a little over $500 there. Travel airfare, because last year, if you've recently watched some of my videos, last year is when I actually flew to Houston and then got picked up by the guy who sold me the roll-off truck. That was not this year. Amazingly enough, it's been so long. It was late December or early December, sometime in there, where I flew down to Texas and bought a roll-off truck with two 10-yard bins that I painfully just recently got going. That was my airfare, so that was a little over $300 for that. Travel hotels, that was a little over $400 for the hotels, coming back up and everything. Vehicle expenses, this is where it gets pretty exciting. I've mentioned it before. I have as of right now, a Ram 3500 2012 6.7 Cummins engine truck. It's gone through a lot with me. I bought it in 16, and I've put as of right now, the odometer is close to about 700,000 miles. So 700,000 miles. So I've replaced injectors, one turbo, the front end a bunch of times, so many tires, just a lot of smaller things, and then occasionally one bigger thing. I do have the original transmission. I'm grateful to God for that. The transmission's still rolling, zero issues, just, fluids and filters. However, there are a cost with going into, taking care of a older high mileage vehicle. So, the vehicle expenses is by far my largest category. Gas and fuel, that was a little under for the year last year, $2,500, for fuel. My vehicle registration, which also includes, the, dump trailers, not just my one singular trailer, but that was my backup truck, the Ford 7.3. There was that registration, the taxes, title, all that jazz, and the two dump trailers. So with the taxes and regular registration and all that, it was just under $2,300 for the year for that. But most of that was just taxes and getting things set up. So the actual registration should be, much less than that. Vehicle repairs, my number one category, very exciting, for, my Ram truck at that time. And then just, I think very briefly, the backup truck that I had, which I don't think I had much on that at all. My vehicle repairs, line is a little over $3,800 for the year. So I know there was just two or three incidents where I could have done it, but it would have taken me much longer to do the work myself. I'm not a full certified mechanic. I've learned from doing RV transport, taking care of my one truck. That's what I did before starting this dumpster rental business. There's some things I can do and I feel confident about. There's some things I don't feel, but I'm willing to do just to try to save some money. And there's a few things last year that I wasn't, for whatever reason, I wasn't feeling confident and I didn't want to try it and mess it up. Or I just wanted to save time because I know I'm going to do it a lot slower. I'm going to be really, really tired from doing it. I'd rather somebody else, I'd rather pay the money now for you to do it quicker, right? And then I can, if things blow up, it's your fault, not mine. So a little over $3,800 for that. Altogether, vehicle expenses, including the gas and the registration stuff that's, or the taxes, stuff that's not going to happen so much every year. But with everything, vehicle expenses was a little under $8,600 total. So that is, of course, my biggest category, the life sucker of the business. But it's the one thing, the main truck and then the dump trailers, and getting those operational and legal, that makes the business, that makes everything work. If I don't have the truck to pull the trailer, if you don't have the truck to, take care of the bins, what are you going to do? So that was my largest category, which means a grand total for all of my expenses was a little over 18,000. So my cost of doing business, for everything legal, everything legit, just to operate, was a little under half. So again, my top line was a little over 41,000, and my total expenses was a little over 18,000. So technically a little less than 50%, whatever. Net operating income. So after that is a little under 13,500. So the net operating income, 13.5, roughly. And then I did have, because WorkEasy and DRS, I believe, both have a way to allow tipping. Surprisingly, if you think that's a weird, terrible thing, I can tell you last year and even more this year, people are willing to tip. Sight unseen. They don't even know you, maybe if it's a repeating customer, but you'd be surprised how many customers I had for the very first time, sight unseen, before they even saw me, they tipped. If you have the opportunity, why would you not allow the tipping? So last year, with mostly WorkEasy, and then at the very tail end, I did have DRS, $225 in tips. So that then brings me to a little over 13,500, close to 700, whatever, in that range. So those are my numbers. So my gross down to the total expenses, and then down to the actual net income. Technically, the 13,000 net income, there were things that, how I started the business. I didn't go get a business loan and go do this and that and just live off of other people's money to build it up together. What I did was I fronted every dollar. I kept not very good track, which I would advise you please keep track. If you need to front your own, fund your own business doing that. I remember paying Facebook ads from the money I was making as a RV transporter. I literally fronted everything. When I had enough money to do it, boom, I executed. I followed through. I did what I could afford. And then eventually, when I had enough money in the bank, I would pay myself back. And due to that, I don't have 13,000 sitting in my bank account. Technically, a good portion of that is money that, poof, I have no way to track it because it was early on enough. I couldn't tell you what I spent, transferring the money back from the business to my personal account. Technically, that's, earned income. That is a owner pay. And so because I didn't have the receipts, I can't prove all these different things. I maybe could go back and try, but I paid out of before I started paying for all these things with my business account, I was doing it from my personal account. And so a good portion of that 13,000, not my money. That was, I paid myself back, I guess, with 0% interest. So I can't track that. Most of that is lost. And that's what's going to happen if you don't have a bookkeeper. If you're not able to keep track with these things, keep receipts, if you can't prove the stuff, when the government comes breaking your door down saying, give us all of our money, your money, they think, you're going to have to prove it. And so, I can't. For a good portion of that 13,000, I can tell you, I did not take a $13,000 check from the business, because then I would owe money on that 13 grand. So that is definitely not what happened. Buying the second dump trailer, going into there. That was a big game changer as far as how many rentals I could get, and having two sizes, slightly larger size, a 17 cubic yard instead of a 15. That was a big help, and I've tracked that over time, being able to see the difference in the revenue that dump trailer has made me significantly more than the 15 cubic yard. Just off of my price difference there. So that's cool. Cool to kind of see that and track that. But these are my 2021 numbers. This doesn't mean this is exactly how it's going to be for you. Maybe I didn't actually start January 1 renting them out. I didn't have any rentals until I think mid-February. So that's a month and a half shy of, people didn't even know I existed. There was no reason for them to know because my website was just atrocious. Certainly zero SEO. I didn't start advertising, I think, till March sometime. So technically this is less than a full year being in business, but there was no reason for anybody to know me or even use me in the middle of January and February. In Indiana, it ain't going to happen. If nobody knows you exist, there's no reason for people to be doing stuff. There is just ice and snow wildly. And then a sunny day every once in a while because we got crazy Midwest weather. So these are my numbers for 2021. I wanted to share this with you and be very vulnerable with you. I don't have $1 million business. If you do, cool for you. But this was my first year in business. This was a realistic picture of me. If you're like me, I had no idea what I was doing. I asked a lot of questions. I messed up a ton. There was definitely some information online to help. But man, the nitty gritty stuff of going through some of these things, right over my head. So I just wanted to share this information, to be a help to you, a blessing to you. These numbers are not guaranteed. I'm not saying you're, just 10x this thing and you'll be able to make, however much money people promise you. I'm just sharing my real world numbers here. My first year, less than a first full year, technically like 10-ish months in business, and with people not knowing me at all to sort of knowing me. So again, thank you for watching. If this was helped you, please subscribe, hit the like button. Let me know down in the comments below. What were your first year numbers? I'm curious to see what other people did. Did you only have one dumpster available? Did you have multiple? Did you get a loan? How did that work for you? The more information we can give to this community of people who are trying to start a dumpster rental business, the better. The more I'm making videos and talking about this stuff, it's more of a challenge to me and probably more of a benefit to me than it even is to you. I just want to share this information with you, giving a real world picture. So with all that being said, hopefully you have a great day. Stay safe, guys, and God bless.